Video games have been around since the dawn of man. Along with video games came a need to be competitive, so not long after the advent of gaming, a bunch of hardcore gamers came together to create the beginning of competitive gaming. It's pretty cool knowing that competitive gaming has become a large market in which the top professionals are literally just gamers. I mean, look at these guys. But with the advent of competition came the advent of exploits. These fucking disasters are what make many multiplayer games almost unbearable to even touch nowadays. I'll give an example. Has there ever been a Call of Duty game in which one gun wasn't supremely overpowered compared to the dozens of other guns in their games? Incredibly, nobody has even noticed how bad exploits have become in multiplayer games. And I'm not just calling out first-person shooter games. Most, if not all, multiplayer games have an overpowered gun or operator or pet or fucking something. But I'll specifically be using Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege as my exhibits A and B. So let's start with Call of Duty. A lot of new COD fans won't remember how bad operators with unique abilities truly were. For example, back in BO3, the top operators to use were Spectre, who had an insta-kill knife jab, and fucking invisibility. Like, goddamn, this motherfucker was OP. Prophet, who had an electric sniper that was essentially one shot per kill if you made your targets, which wasn't hard, but what made him fucking crazy was that if he hit you with his charge and someone was next to you, their ass got fried like a fucking chicken. He also had a reverse ability where he could fucking whoosh back in time. That was so cool. And War Machine, who either gave you fucking loaded armor or a grenade launcher that could destroy a whole team in one fucking shot. These operators were fucking loaded. But BO3 also had overpowered weapons that players exploited too. If you don't remember the VMP, you either didn't play Black Ops 3 or suppress the memory of getting killed by this fucking thing so many goddamn times. Quick story. When I was maybe like 12, I was playing BO3 and I got killed by this killer machine so many fucking times that I got so angry and I came my pants. No questions asked. Didn't rub one out beforehand. It just came out and I was super confused. And now that I've confessed my darkest secret, you can tell all your friends about how your favorite YouTuber came in his pants out of pure anger when he was just a boy. Anyway, back to my point. The VMP was overpowered in BO3 until the game was fucking irrelevant, and even today it's still probably overpowered and people still probably exploit that. Not enough for you? Then how about I talk about Modern Warfare's MAC-10 issue that's currently got the community riled up. Besides tactical rifles like the AUG and that automatic pistol that's godly OP, I wanted to bring up the MAC-10 because this motherfucker goes hard. I have been murdered by this thing so many times to the point of desperation, but I can't use the MAC-10 until I complete a special challenge for it, which is kinda crazy when you think about it. Unlike the AUG, where all I have to do is be at a certain level to unlock it, the MAC-10 requires that you get a double kill with an SMG in 15 different matches. This doesn't sound difficult. Getting a rapid kill with an SMG is easy, but over 15 matches? I don't have the time for that. I make videos, I go to college, I pay taxes, I have a fucking life, and so do you. And if you're one of those guys, you know, always dressed up, good credit score, hot wife, and great kids, you're not looking to complete this challenge. But God forbid you go into a Warzone match without the MAC-10. It'd be a fucking massacre. You would get destroyed by the bullet thruster like how porn stars get destroyed by the industry not paying them what they deserve. I could bring up every single COD game and go over how something in those games allows players to exploit their system and make the experience more difficult for other players to enjoy. But now, I move to the more sophisticated level of exploiting. Operators. Full-blown motherfucking flesh and blood made of organic matter, whole human beings that are more powerful than others. In real life, it's almost certain that a person who benches 550 pounds can and will beat the ever-living shit out of someone who's 5'6" and doesn't even know how to spell it. Definitely. I'm talking about myself. The small percentage of the time that the opposite occurs is when the small guy has a gun and is willing to turn a man into a fucking hashtag. But in gaming, all operators tend to be level with one another, usually because they have no in-game effect besides maybe a cool cutscene. But in games like, for example, Rainbow Six Siege, where operators have distinguishable abilities that can make or break a game, the amount of patience necessary for operators who are fucking OP to be nerfed to oblivion is indeed large. But patience does not equal perfect. Read that again. Siege came out back in 2015, and here we are in 2021 still trying to understand the meta this game wants us to follow. This isn't helped by the fact that Ubisoft is patching the game based on concerns from Pro League rather than the other 90% of people who play this game casually or competitively. Here's an example. The best operator to play on attacking at the time of this video's release is Ace. He is a hard breach who's a 2-speed, has smoke grenades, and a fucking AK-12? This man is a fragger, hard breach, planter, he's the whole team! Now all they need to do is make him a 3-speed and take away his hitbox and he's all in one. And here's the biggest problem with these kinds of exploitable issues. You can't blame the player for exploiting them. It's human nature to see an advantage and take it. In fact, I understand players using exploits because I use them too! The point of this video was to establish the large role developers play in these exploits and to address that it's their responsibility to fix these problems to keep the game fair for all players. Of course, sometimes the player becomes so fed up with the fairness that they take exploits into their own hands. But we call those people cheaters. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. I know I haven't made any videos in a while, and by a while I mean 2 fucking months basically, besides the Vanoss dressing video. All I can say is that college is a bitch. Read that again. But thanks for all the support I've gotten both on here and on my Instagram. I've been having a shit ton of fun with the Persona community on Insta and the GTF's tournaments, which I will properly address in another video. But I actually almost hit 500 subs on here and 800 followers on Instagram, so thank you, fucking thank you for that. I love and appreciate all of you. That being said, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye-bye.